Hello, this is Photography Gamer. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing 1111 Memories Retold for the Xbox Series S. The game is also available for PlayStation and Windows. 1111 Memories Retold is an action-adventure game developed by DigiX Arts and Aardman Animations. 1111 is set during the events of World War I, as you assume control of two characters. One is a Canadian photographer on the Allied front lines, with the other being a German engineer on the opposing side. Both characters have their own unique story that crisscrosses throughout the adventure. So what is the game like to play? Well, core gameplay is pretty light, with minimal controls for movement, sneaking, item usage and a few other things. The game is split between two main characters, where you get these short sections with basic tasks to complete. Then before you know it, you're playing as the other side. It's a system, I felt that was a bit too swift, leaving you little time to really get attached to one or the other. In terms of tasks, you'll be doing fetch quests, talking to various characters, sneaking past enemy troops, taking photographs of the war effort. And it's that photography element that became, for me, the most satisfying part of the game. You have a limited amount of shots per chapter and you can review your images to see your visual recollection of the war. But 1111 is mainly a narrative-driven experience with two stories intertwined. The Canadian photographer side is enjoyable if you like photography, but also felt a little bit too self-centered. That's something I would say applies to both characters. They seemed more interested in their own agendas than actually being a good soldier and helping their brothers on the front lines. It definitely felt like a story written by someone 100 years after the conflict who has a bit of a kind of a pacifist's mentality towards war, because from my memory, I can't recall either character really firing a gun, especially if they're on the front lines. That seemed a bit strange, like it was more like a cartoon type experience, but still had some moments. I'd say that also the two lead characters, I don't think they were particularly likable. Like, I never really felt engaged to them. They always felt a little bit too wrapped up in their own existence than actually be a part of the war, And technically you could say they committed treason or were traitors to their own side based on some of their actions. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the kind of overall message that it sends. It kind of doesn't hit the mark for me, but in terms of some of the aspects of the gameplay I enjoyed. Visuals were very good. Let's get onto the visuals. Graphically, 1111, beautiful, beautiful game. They have this kind of oil painting style to the graphics, the characters, the locations. It's all really created using really beautiful brushstrokes. Anyone who paints or appreciates that medium will really adore exploring the locations, and it really adds to it, and the ability to photograph that as well for the war effort, that's really interesting. In terms of audio, the music was fine, nothing stand out but the functional stuff for what it does. Voice acting, solid, didn't leave me a bit confused, like the German character. He speaks German with subtitles, but then when he's having his inner monologue, he speaks English. Like, what's that about? Is he secretly a spy? I don't really get it. Okay, what's good? What's bad? Good points. The graphics are some of the most beautiful I've ever seen. It's an interesting take on the war, trying to tell two sides of the conflict, and the photography aspect, accompanied by the historic information, helps the storytelling. What's bad? Gameplay tasks are incredibly basic. The lead characters are quite selfish considering they're serving in a military conflict, and it's a little bit too light-hearted at times, leaning towards a childlike cartoon feel, which felt a little bit inappropriate considering the subject matter. So what's the verdict? 1111 Memories Retold is an interesting idea with a gorgeous art style. It's great to see more games telling the story of World War I, and you'll learn a thing or two when playing. The photography aspect was a nice feature, and on the whole, it's a decent game, but at times it did leave me with a bad taste in my mouth. Feeling a little bit self-indulgent with two lead characters that frankly couldn't care less about the conflict or their comrades and were more bothered about their own agendas. It's perhaps a bit too modern in its take on the war, but then again, it's difficult to portray a war that's 100 years old without being a little bit patronising. So 1111, mixed bag, at times very powerful, emotive, gorgeous to behold. At others, a bit twee, a bit childlike, a bit condescending and naive. I would say it's a good game, a faithful representation of some of the bloodiest moments of the war, very emotionally powerful at times, at other times felt a bit like turning it into a bit of a comedy or like a childlike game, but still really worth trying out. So my score for 1111 Memories Retold is 6.5 out of 10. Okay, that was the review. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe. This is Photography Gamer signing off. Thank you.